this is David for Big Bits, and in this video I wanted to give everyone a little bit of update on what's going on, a little bit with the channel, an update on the giveaway. We have started a new one for the month of April for the channel, and then also a little bit of news about Bitcoin and crypto in general. Probably the biggest topic I'll touch on, the topic I'll touch on the most is probably central bank digital currencies. If you follow my channel, you'll know that I've been keeping up with that pretty closely because I think there's going to be a lot to do with that in this decade, and it was one of my big predictions that I agreed with many people on for this coming decade. So I'll go ahead and get started. Now, the first thing I want to show you is that we have started the giveaway. The link for this will be in the description of the video. So if you're interested in $25 worth of Bitcoin, please go to the URL in the description and you can see all the different ways you can enter. Now, if you're new and you haven't been watching the channel, you'll probably not know that I will add some different actions in here to earn entries. And one of them is going to be answering a question about what you see in the videos. That way people actually watch actually have a pretty good chance to win. So I'm going to show you something, and we're going to talk about something a little later in the video, where if you've watched the video, you'll be able to answer it correctly pretty easily and have a lot more chances. But I want to go ahead and get into a little bit of TA. Right now, Bitcoin looks like it's on the verge of breaking out. Much higher prices, well, perhaps. I want to zoom out. Chart has looked really good. Currently kind of looks like it might be wanting to peak just a little bit for the short term, but back to the hourly chart, everything's still looking good on the hourly chart. The 4-hour chart, now this is the one I really wanted to get at. It looks like it's exactly at this level where it could break and it could really move. This is kind of this triangle that everyone's been pointing out on Twitter and all these other places, that if you've been watching their TA, that's what you've been paying attention to. It's this nice line up here and back here across, and I believe it should break out, if it does, up to around 7.5 to 7.7K, and that's a pretty good move. And a lot of people are also calling for much higher than that, but some pretty bullish action as the moving averages, the key moving averages, have already crossed up. So we'll see how that plays out here in the coming days. And the daily indicators, go ahead and take a look at that. I'm a little bit concerned about the daily indicators because we are at the top of the Bollinger Bands, which doesn't mean a whole lot, but it can bounce from the Bollinger Bands like that, and by the time this video comes out, that we may be an entirely different price. But the things that I am looking out for are the moving averages just ahead. We are getting pretty close to those, and some of these indicators have been moving up for quite a while, but it's kind of mixed signals, honestly. The stochastic, it's not up like crazy high, but the stochastic RSI has been up for quite some time, and that could lead to at least a short pullback, in my opinion. And the RSI is still pretty much neutral. If anything, it might have flipped bullish here in the last day or two because it's going over 50 again. So the daily isn't looking incredibly great for the long run, at least in the, say, the coming week or so. But the weekly chart, man, it looks pretty impressive right now, honestly. Since we bounced off of 3 point whatever K down here, the indicators actually turned around, smoothed RSI, moving back up. They're wanting to point back up. Now, if you watched my TA video several weeks ago, when all of this was going on, and I think we closed around here, I said the best case scenario was for the price to kind of hover down around here and bounce from there. We may not be completely out of the woods. I think we might revisit the 200 week yet again, but as long as we can stay above the 200 week, I think everything looks great for another bullish cycle on Bitcoin. And of course, none of this is financial advice, but this is what I'm seeing here in the charts myself. The indicators do look like they want to turn up. That doesn't mean they're going to immediately. It might be timed pretty well with the halving coming up here in the first or second week of May, which would be, now we have forecasted values for that. So you can see these were the MAs are forecasted for that particular week of the halving. And as long as we can stay above, what is that, about 5.7, 5.8K, or close above that on the weekly candles. Everything's looking really good. All right, so I'm going to go take a look at a little bit of news. I'm not going to do any TA on anything else. I want this to be a fairly quick video. One of the first things I saw was that the hash rate has increased by a third in just 2 days. And if you remember just a week or two ago, well, maybe even longer than that, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, when the huge crash happened, people thought that they were leaving the network for good, and this was minor capitulation and the network was going to die. There's a bunch of FUD about that. It's kind of funny, but we all kind of knew, if you've been around for a while, that it was going to come back, and it went up at 30 million terahash per second. It's pretty good, pretty good bounce. So one of the things that I like to focus on with the mining hash rate is that the hash rate also kind of represents how much miners have invested in the network. These hash rates are the equivalent to a cost of purchasing the equipment that they need to do the mining. So of this 121 million terahash per second, 4,000 or 5,000 terahash per second could be several devices. So what you're seeing, and I don't know what the terahashes are on these devices, so I could be way off, but what you're seeing is, with these values going up, every terahash has essentially a dollar value on what it costs the miner to join the network and participate. And for them to break even, they need to return or receive this return on their investment so that they can continue to operate. And they go on to talk a little bit about this, and they say, if it remains constant, they expect to see a huge price surge, but they think that things could be a little bit complicated due to halving. And we've talked about this also on the channel before, that the halving will take away the supply, and the inflows, the people selling, I guess you would say, they can no longer sell 50% of what they would have from their mining revenue. Then they can continue to sell as much as they want to out of their stockpile, but as it comes to mining revenue, they will only have half as much to sell. Plus, since these people are investing in the network, especially knowing that the halving is right around the corner, they are assuming the risk that they are going to receive half of what they are now if the network hash for them stays the same in the coming months. So I think, and the article tends to agree, that these miners are betting that the price is going to keep up with their profitability levels. That's why they are continuing to invest and put more hashes on the network. All right, another thing that was kind of cool to see is that during the coronavirus pandemic that we're all dealing with, and we'll repeat again, I have a little bit of a corona beard growing here, that a lot of charities have actually started using Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. It was kind of neat. They had a really good example here. It's that the infection rate in Italy has been really high, so their Red Cross started accepting Bitcoin, and they met their goal super quick, and they actually extended it and created another level and started raising even more with that. And it looks like a bunch of other charities are also picking up in it, and even some crypto companies are getting involved in some sort of philanthropy and donating to charity as well to help out during these tough times. So it's kind of cool to see, and it's really good because this is contactless forms of payment, and you don't have to have a bank account to use them. Now, I'm sure the Red Cross and these people will be converting to dollars so that they can do whatever they need with it. I doubt they're going to operate entirely in Bitcoin, but they didn't need to wait for the banks to open on Sunday to receive these donations. They got them immediately, and if their exchange that they use for their crypto was open, they were able to sell it at that moment for US dollars. So it's pretty cool to think that they could do that now without the banks. Now, this is another article they're talking about, and I kind of did a little bit of TA earlier. They're talking about how the price could break out to 8.5K. That'll be a little more than I would expect right now, but it's certainly in the realm of possibility. They're saying that investor confidence is high, as they are seeing that it could be some sort of flight to safety, and they blame the huge crash to well below that 200-week moving average on this cascade of liquidations that were caused on the BitMEX exchange. So the way the liquidations work on BitMEX is once your account gets liquidated, they start taking what you had and selling it or buying it, the opposite of what the trade you had was, to close it out. But what happens is when they buy or sell with that, they push the price up or down. And what happens when they push the price up or down is if the liquidation was large enough to move the price a lot, it can cause somebody else's liquidation to continue and push the price further in either direction. And if this kept happening over and over again, it could have led to a huge crash. And if their servers weren't able to keep up with it and the liquidations just continued with larger and larger positions, the price could have cleared out the entire order book and went to zero. So I doubt that's going to happen, but that is something you have to be sort of wary of if you're using BitMEX and also just in crypto in general, because there aren't really these circuit breakers like you see on stock markets and stuff. Another one here, they're talking about some more mining malware. It says they're doing Bitcoin mining, but I'm almost certain they're not actually mining Bitcoin. They're probably using some sort of altcoin miner that converts automatically to Bitcoin, because I don't think that even if you're attacking Docker, you're not going to be getting the hashes you need on the Bitcoin network to actually get enough to really make it worth your time. I'm sure they can get some, but it seems to me that the Bitcoin network is a little bit too much for something like this. Anyway, the way this works is they are using a Golang-based Linux agent known as Kinsing, and what it's doing is it's attacking their API ports, and once it opens those up, it'll push in the malware, which would then start mining. And it'll be mining to somebody else's address, obviously, whoever created the malware. And we've seen these around for a while. A lot of them that we've seen in the past were not even malware, really. It started back in 2017 where it became really prevalent, where people would pay people to mine while they're on their site. So if you went to somebody's site, they would turn off their advertisements in order for you to mine using your browser. And that's kind of a similar idea here, except they are doing this maliciously without your approval, and some websites did that as well too back then without your approval. So that's something to keep an eye on if you're working with Docker. Now, to the CBDC stuff, Korea, they're working on theirs. They've launched their pilot program. They don't have anything ready to start with their pilot, but they're looking into it, and they want to make sure that they get everything right by doing all their research up front. Now, I also pointed out recently in some social media that it was very good that the United States didn't start with their CBDC to pay back people with the stimulus plan, because as far as we know, there isn't a pilot program where they have a working product to even start with. And since they wanted to get the stimulus stuff out quick, they would have had to rush the CBDC for the US dollar to get that out quick enough to get people their stimulus on time. But it's good to see other countries are taking these precautionary measures to make sure they try and get things correct. Now, on the other side of that, there is China, who are focusing heavily on their CBDC, or at least so they say. And I seem to remember about a year or so ago, they said that they were going to be releasing theirs in like 6 months. I think that's already come and gone, but they say they have already designed and probably even started testing their top level system design, which I'm not sure what they really mean by that, or if like they've just started on their base protocol that they're going to be using for this, and nobody really even knows what it's going to look like. But it says they're going to promote the reform of cash issuance and return systems and accelerate promotion of banknote processing business, issuance of bank guards, and issuance funds. So it sounds like they're wanting to automate some of these financial things, which is going to be really good if they can pull it off. But I think they're a little optimistic on their timeline here. I think most CBDCs are going to be coming out about 3 to 4 years from now. I don't see any of them really coming out before then unless they've been heavily tested, or if they're in smaller countries who don't really have the same risk that large countries like China and the US have. But that's almost it for the video, and I got something I wanted to show you all. I actually got this in the mail. It's a Brave mouse pad. If you're not familiar, I use Brave in all my videos. They have built-in ad blockers and stuff to help you browse the web privately. So I've been a huge fan of theirs. I followed them around, and I actually got a swag kit from them, which I'll show you some of that later. But I did want to show off the Brave mouse pad because I really like that. I can use that for my work computer, for my other stuff where I don't need such a large mouse pad as I do here. So that was really cool. I'm excited about all that stuff. I can't wait to show you all that. But as far as the channel goes, we've had a lot of great stuff going on. I really can't believe the growth we've had lately in the channel, because I started off not too long ago, and I don't care to show you the analytics here. I'm not hiding anything from anyone. There's nothing here I don't care if anyone sees. But I restarted the channel back in September last year. Started producing content, and it's just starting to pick up now. It's really good. I've had a lot of people reach out to me about doing some stuff for them, or working with them on certain things. And right now I'm kind of taking things slow as far as it goes with working with other people. I'm not really interested in that too much right now. I have some other priorities that I'm working on, and hopefully things work out with that. But if they don't, I have some excellent plans for the channel on what we're going to accomplish. I know a lot of people see that this channel is just tutorials, and we're talking about TradingView, and it seems kind of limited in scope to a lot of people. We're also talking about crypto, TA, news. I'm also going to be looking at Light Night. We've covered that a couple of times, but for the most part, it's rather limited in scope. And if things go the way I expect, then we're probably going to have a lot more to work with here in the coming months. But we'll see how things actually go, and I'll keep everyone up to date on that. But for now, I do think that is it for this video. So if you haven't already, please check out the description of the video. You find all these links. I'm going to post those in the description, including the giveaway. That's going to be the first one. And then also, you're going to be able to click on the referral link for Brave if you wanted to get it as well. And you can also check out their subreddit. If you're on Reddit, it's reddit/r/BAT project. And that's actually how I got the swag kit. I was a participant on their subreddit, and they sent me a bunch of swag. So it's really cool. I can't wait to share that. But please check out that stuff. And as always, if you're following me for TradingView, you can also find my TradingView URL and stuff down there. But please like the video. If you haven't already, subscribe. We do a lot of stuff like this. And I know this video has probably gone on for a while, but I appreciate every one of you all for watching and helping the channel grow. So stick around. Things are going to be great. Have a nice day.